The Sahabi that we're talking about today, in order for us to understand the Sahabi well, it's important for us to understand his father, who we talked about the previous week, Sa'ad bin Ubada radhiyallahu anhu. The Sahabi we're talking about today is Qais bin Sa'ad, and he is the son of Sa'ad bin Ubada radhiyallahu anhu. So I'm going to go a little bit back, understand Sa'ad bin Ubada, who he was, just a little bit, go over it very briefly, and then we'll start talking about Qais bin Sa'ad radhiyallahu anhu, and then we will finish off with, inshallah, finish our session with a complete biography of whatever we know and whatever is mentioned in narrations about Qais bin Sa'ad radhiyallahu anhu. I mentioned about Sa'ad bin Ubada radhiyallahu anhu, he was a very, very, very beautiful, very handsome Sahabi of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed him with a very high status, of course in the akhirah, because he is a Sahabi of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he is also blessed with a very high status in the worldly sense. He was the leader and the chief of his tribe. His tribe consisted of many thousands of people. He was the leader of those thousands of people. This was the tribe of Banu Khazraj, which was one of the most powerful tribes in Medina Munawwara. The other tribe was Banu Aus. The leader of the tribe of Banu Aus was Sa'ad bin Mu'adh. We had talked about him in the month of Ramadan. He was one of our shining stars. Sa'ad bin Ubada radhiyallahu anhu, some things that he was well known for. Number one, his generosity. Very well known for his generosity. One of the most generous men in the city of Medina Munawwara. Every single night, he would take 80 Sahaba from the Ashab al-Suffah. Those Sahaba who lived in the masjid and gained their knowledge of deen from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam 24 hours a day. They had no business, no fields to cultivate. They only came to the city of Medina Munawwara to learn from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to sit in his company. Every single night, he would take 80 Sahaba with him to his house and feed them. And I was mentioning last week that imagine taking 80 people with you every single day. In this time, how much grocery would you have to do? Can you imagine? You have 15 people invited to your house, how much preparation we do? You have 80 people every single day of your life. How much grocery he was doing, how many camels he was sacrificing, how much meat he was giving, how much sweets he was preparing, how much food was being prepared in his house every single day. They must have started in the morning so that they could have enough by night for 80 Sahaba. This was his generosity. Also, known about Sa'ad bin Ubada radhiyallahu anhu, that every single day he would send food to the Blessed Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's house. Every single day. From the day Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated to Medina Munawwara. If you count the days and the number of years since Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated to the time of his death, every single day he's feeding Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his wife with whom he's staying on that day. Imagine his level of generosity every single day. He was called Al-Kamil, the perfect one. This was his title given to him by the Sahaba Ridwanullahi Majma'in. He's Al-Kamil. And the reason he was called Al-Kamil was because he was an expert marksman as an archer, and he was an expert swimmer, which was a very rare skill among the Arabs because they lived in the desert. So if somebody knew how to swim, that was like a great big feat. He was an expert swimmer and he was an expert marksman, so he was called Al-Kamil. Whenever Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would go out with any expeditions, or if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not go out with any expeditions, we mentioned last week that there's two definitions given by the historians for the different types of expeditions. One are those type of expeditions in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam participated. Those were called the ghazawat. And there are those type of expeditions in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not participate. Those were called the sariyat. Whether it was a sariyah or a ghazwa, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would send an expedition out, he would always give the banner for the Ansar Sahaba to Sa'ad bin Ubada radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, because he loved and respected Sa'ad bin Ubada radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu so much. Very honorable position, very honorable status. And I also mentioned that there was only one occasion in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took away the banner away from him, and that was the day when he conquered Makkah Mukarramah. He put 4 people in charge of different regiments, and every regiment was appointed to come into Makkah Mukarramah from different sides, so that none of the people of Makkah Mukarramah could escape. One of those regiments was headed and led by Sa'ad bin Ubada radhiyallahu anhu. He told Abu Sufyan, and as he was marching on his way to Makkah Mukarramah, and he was entering, he said to Abu Sufyan, who was the leader of Makkah Mukarramah and the chief of Quraysh at that time, he said to him that Al-Yawm Yawmul Malhama, today the day is the day of war. Al-Yawma tastahillu al-hurma, today the sacredness of the city has been lifted, and today we're going to completely annihilate you. We're going to annihilate Quraysh today. Abu Sufyan radhiyallahu anhu had become Muslim, but Sa'ad bin Ubada was not aware. Abu Sufyan radhiyallahu anhu went and complained to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was very, very scared because of what Sa'ad bin Ubada said, that he's going to go into Makkah Mukarramah and he's going to start killing people. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard this. He called Sa'ad bin Ubada radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and he said, Sa'ad, give the banner over to your son, Qais bin Sa'ad. So Qais bin Sa'ad was the one who held the banner for that regiment, though it was still led by Sa'ad bin Ubada. This was to remind Sa'ad bin Ubada that this day is not the day of war, this is a day of peace. And indeed, the conquest of Makkah, if we go into the history, it was a day of peace. Many, many people accepted Islam on that day because of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the way he treated the Quraysh on that day. So this is Sa'ad bin Ubada radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu.